Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's been a couple weeks since I've been on here. It has been, oh, that's moldy. Um, it's been a hot minute since I've been on here. A couple weeks. Hello, Linda from Roaring Cicadas, Western Kentucky. Yeah, it's not as bad as I expected it to be here. It's getting worse with each day, but it's definitely not any worse than it was last year by any means. And it's supposed to be like, isn't there like four different batches of cicadas that are like converging on the same year? But oh well, you never know. It gets worse. Like if I go like down my driveway, my sister just texted me and said, "You're in my earbuds while I kill a chicken." So she's here in spirit. Maybe once she's done, she'll actually join us in the chat. We shall see. So, yeah, it's just been a super crazy. Oh, we got a few more joining us. Lori, hello. Yeah, it's been nuts around here, honestly. Trying to keep up with the garden, which has not been great, but I'm working on it. And we got the last of the beds that we weeded a couple weeks ago. We got them flamed. So hopefully we can get those planted before too long. If we have to torch them again, it'll just be a little bit of grow back. We might, my husband and I might do it like on Friday and Saturday, maybe. We'll see. We still got the cabbages in there. They are getting eaten alive by cabbage moth caterpillars. I picked off a bunch of them like a week ago. But let me see. Lori from Wisconsin, DH from Pennsylvania, Sharon from Mississippi, Nana's 9 Acres. Hello back. Let me see. Rickwin, hello. Did you get your ceiling fixed? No, we haven't even tried. We're letting it air out for a good long while. It's going to be a long time because none of us knows how to fix it. So we have to like either figure out how to fix it and develop those skills, or hire somebody, which obviously, kitchen remodel's not in the budget. So it could be a long time. It could really be a long time. So we'll see. But we're letting it air right now. We're letting it air out so it doesn't get moldy. Just running the fans through it, spraying down the area, any area that might have gotten, touched anything wet with like mold inhibitors and, just do the things. Okami, Colorado. That sucks. Doreen, missed your live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's been nuts. I've been spending a lot of time in the kitchen, and I finally have an appointment with the health department, which I'm very excited about. It's gonna be on Thursday, so keep me in your thoughts and your prayers that that will be productive and will go well. I'm very excited for that progression in the prospects of being able to start selling at the larger farmers markets. That'll be very good. Ceilings are overrated, right? It's actually not that bad. The only thing I don't like is that, like, I don't think that the eaves are sealed in. So I think we're getting a lot of excess moisture. Like we have the dehumidifier running and it's getting filled up quick. So I think it's just pulling in the moisture from the outside. Like our house is not that wet. So we're running the air conditioner also as much as we can stand, because that also helps to zap the moisture. But I've been bundled up while the air conditioner's running. It took a couple of weeks for the cicadas to get up to full roar, but they're making up for it. Yep. We had to let ours air out and hired someone. Also took us 4 years to save up the money. Hopefully it won't take that long. I hope not. Thankfully, it's not like a tremendous amount of damage. It's just like we have to replace the ceiling, like the drywall, the insulation. Like there's no major remodel that has to happen really. So hopefully it won't be too bad. But if we hire someone, I'm expecting it'll be probably 10 grand. If I'm total guess, nothing to rest that assumption on, but that's kind of my guess. Let me see. God's desire for me from North Carolina. Hello. Good evening from Blythe, California. It's 91 degrees right now. Low will be 63 this evening. Yeah, we've been in like the upper 80s for a few days. I don't know what it is right now. 79 right now. So, but it was like 86 or 87. How much milk kefir do you drink a day? I haven't been drinking much lately, but when I do drink it daily, I usually drink, like, I make a quart, minus like the headspace, and then whatever is left after that, like I just turn it over daily. I just started it again this morning. So I've been kind of hesitant because I wanted to make sure it didn't get moldy. If there's any mold spores that are kind of floating around my house. So I was a little nervous because it's the best milk kefir grains I've ever come across. And I did not want to risk them getting damaged. So number 11 on the like button. Thank you. Orange, California. You'll be in my prayers. Thank you, Tammy. I tried to ferment cucumbers. It was a mushy disaster. TBF, I know almost nothing, but I tried. Yeah, cucumbers are not where you want to start. Cucumbers, they can be tricky. Sometimes you get lucky and nothing's wrong. You got no issues. But generally, I don't recommend cucumbers as like a beginner ferment. It's more like after you've done a few batches, you kind of understand the principles, the few things that you have to do to make sure it doesn't get soggy or moldy. It can be a challenge. So try like sauerkraut or maybe like carrot sticks. Those are much more beginner friendly and much less frustrating. Gallons of cauliflower crowns picking today. It was on special for $1 a head today. That's a good deal. Mine's doing really good now that it's not so hot out. I'm keeping 3 batches of K going this summer. Tea, coffee, and peach ribose herbal. Awesome. That does sound interesting. I've only tried making kombucha with black tea. Sorry for the yawning. My yogurt ball's up there, so I'm just gonna be yawning today, apparently. Black tea, pu'er tea, and then I've made Jun with green tea. I think of it as a cathedral ceilings. It kind of is. Thankfully, I was able to go up there and just reassure myself that there's nothing creepy crawly up there that will like crawl out and like kill me in my sleep. So, I was shocked at how nice it was up there when I went up there. So, I don't feel too skeeved out having to go wide open like that, but we might end up like tarping off like above the ceiling, like almost the roof, to kind of just try and minimize the amount of excess moisture that it pulls in from the outside. So that the dehumidifier is just working in that area as opposed to like dehumidifying the entire house. Especially the Rubios, I add a bit of black tea starter. Don't want to lose it, definitely. Yeah, I made some. Sorry, that was hubby. I have to look when hubby texts, so just cause like it's hubby, it's just natural. He's got a bunch of like heart emojis and stuff, so it draws my eye. So, anyways, I made some water soluble calcium today. I got started, did film that. Hopefully, that video will be out Wednesday, I think, and then we'll probably do another gardening video on maybe like Saturday, something like that. Because the next 3 days are going to be very busy for me. So I don't know if I will be able to, or when I'll be able to get out in the garden again. But anyways, we did get a fair amount done. I got all the tomatoes separated. I realized I went through all of my starts, and I realized that I had 7 full trays of the 32 cell tomatoes that died. And I have, I think, like maybe 4 left. So I have 100, I think it was 110 or 116 left. And for anybody wondering, sauce tomatoes do not like neglect. Paste tomatoes, they don't put up with the neglect either. And or whatever it was that killed them. I didn't kill them with my neglect. It was more, I think it was a nitrogen burn. I think it was just too much nitrogen, and they just sucked after that. So, but heirloom tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, those did amazing. So I have enough tomatoes, but we don't have very many sauce tomatoes and almost no paste tomatoes. So I'll probably end up purchasing some of those just to make sure. I've done sauerkraut and carrot radish slaw and tapache pineapple drink a few times, but I was so far out of my element with pickles. Yeah, pickles, they take some consideration. What I've found is make sure that you cut off a 16th of an inch of the blossom end. It helps if you kind of soak them in a salt brine or just straight up salt because you want to pull the moisture out of them. Otherwise, they won't be super crunchy. But you don't have to do that step. It's just helpful if you constantly end up with really soggy pickles. That'll help. Like you soak them like overnight and then dump out that water and then make some. That'll help. But the 16th of an inch. And then also I like to put a tea bag, like a black tea bag in the bottom of it. That also helps with the crunch. And any seasonings or spices that you put in there, put them in one of those little tea bags. Like you can buy like on Amazon. I don't know how much they are, like $5 or something like that for like 100 of them. They're just little tea bags, little paper tea bags. And you just put the spices in there, put it in the bottom. Because it's usually the floaters that tend to mold. And I don't know what it is about cucumbers, but they just tend to mold like crazy. It's stupid. But yeah, I've made tapache once. I didn't really care for it, so I haven't made it since. Hubby is your first priority, most definitely. Hello, Mike. Hello, Heather. You guys are here together. That's awesome. I really feel you on that. I lost all my tomato starts and had to buy them. That's what happens when life hits in April. It sure is. It sure is. Ain't no shame in that. Ain't no shame in that whatsoever. Life happens. You just react, you know? You just got to do the best you can. I'm not stressing about it because like I've already known in my heart of hearts that I'm just not going to have a, a a massive garden this year. It's still going to be really big, especially from most people's standpoints. Like I'm still going to have like 100 tomatoes easy at least. But tomatoes, I've got a bunch of garlic going. Hubby's been working on potatoes, sweet potatoes. What are those sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes? Can you can fermented sriracha? If you can find an approved recipe for it, go for it. But the problem is if you don't find an approved recipe for it, you might be fine, but you're also treading into rebel canning. And I've decided that I'm not really going to promote that much on here. Because number one, I'm not a canning channel, so there's no point. My main expertise is fermentation, and I wouldn't can it because then you're killing off all the bacteria you just cultured. But yeah, I'm kind of steering away from, I mean, it's not to say that I don't rebel can, but I'm not going to like promote it or encourage it on my channel. Simply because there's a lot of new people and there's a lot of really crappy information out there. There's a lot of it, like Amish canning and just very dangerous things that people could honestly die from doing. So I just don't want to be a part of the madness. I want to, the very few canning videos that I will be doing to the best of my ability will be like legit proven canning methods, basically. I love kefir. Heather put strawberries in it for me. Yeah, I like the strawberries. I don't tend to add any type of, what do you call it? Sweetener to it for the second ferment. I just put the cap on it and let it do the second ferment, but it is really good that way. It's a lot huge to me. Yeah, it's going to be a big garden for most people. But like at the beginning of the season, when I first started all these, I had not intended to pursue the fermentation route. And then like something happened and it kind of opened up, at least in my mind, it opened up as being a possibility where I had previously thought it was never going to happen. So I kind of just realized, because I don't want to have a burnout repeat of last year. And that's kind of what today was, because I was like starting to feel a little bit anxious about it. I was like, okay, I'm not really taking the time to kind of chill. And I had plans to plant all these tomatoes, and even told my husband before he went to work, like, you know, kind of what my plans are. And then when he got to work, I was like, change plans. Not going to do it. I was like, I can feel it coming on. I need to recognize it when it happens. Cause like I've got ADHD, for those of you who don't know, and it's really easy for me to just go, like balls to the walls. It's really easy for me to do that with like, I'll go work in the kitchen for like 16 hours straight. Time will fly like nothing. And I haven't even sat down or taken a break, like no problems whatsoever. And then I just like hit a wall, like oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep right now. So I'm trying to get better at recognizing that within myself so that I don't do that, because doing that too many times in a row, it just brings on burnout and massive, massive bouts of anxiety that can take months to overcome. I don't want to go through that again. So today was more of a chill day. I went and picked up propane and gas, and um, I watered all the starts, and I made some of that calcium, water soluble calcium, and just kind of did the things that I wanted to do. And I knew at that moment, I was like, I'm not going to get the tomatoes in the ground today. And that's going to be okay. And hubby was totally cool with it. He was like, all right, I understand. No problem. So, um, going with tomato starts from elsewhere. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I got an Amish greenhouse down the road, and probably Friday I'll pick up some more sauce tomatoes. I don't need any cherry tomatoes. I've got most of my favorite ones. If if a 4-pack of them catches my eye, maybe I'll pick them up. But like, I'm not planning on doing a tremendous amount. Like, I have enough tomatoes to cover the trellises that we currently have in, and we just don't have it with the ceiling and everything that's happening. We just don't have the budget to get the trellises that we had it intended to, because it's like $300 a roll for that fencing. So it's just not going to happen right now. Fermented sweet potato sticks are good, cut about like a French fry. I haven't tried that. I've tried it. I used one of those zucchini spiralizer things. Did that with some jalapenos. That was one of my all-time favorite ferments. I put too much salt in it though, so it definitely was more of a condiment. Like, you couldn't just munch on it. It was very salty. How long can you keep milk kefir suspended in the fridge before fermenting it again? Like the kefir or the grains? Hello, Trina. I want to say hi. Quick work break. We'll be listening. Awesome. Have you thought about making a book on fermenting? I've thought about it, but I haven't done it. Because like, I'm selling all of the ferments that I've come up with, and it's like, I don't want to just make a book with all my recipes that I'm trying to sell. So I'll probably end up doing it someday, but I haven't done it yet. The grains, I have them in milk. I would say 2 weeks. I don't think you really want to go. You don't want to intentionally go beyond 2 weeks. It really depends on how much milk you suspend it in. If you put enough for it, it'll last longer. But milk kefir is a finicky one. Like, sometimes if you put it in too large of a ratio of milk, I don't know. It almost slows it down a bit. It's really weird. It's finicky. But I would say like 2 weeks, you're pretty safe. Anything beyond that, like, really try and get in there and change it out. It's not one of those ones you can just put in the fridge and forget about it for a lifetime. And that's not to say that if you come back to it a month later, it's garbage. It's usually not. But I mean, if you have intentions of keeping that kefir grains, I would say 2 weeks. Hello, David. I was wishing I lived near you so I could buy some of your ferments. Shipping may be an option sometime this year. I'm hoping to pursue that. The first route is just selling at the market, that is the busy market in our area, and that takes extra regulations, whereas a lot of other places don't. So I'm working on that now. I have no idea what the time frame will be on that, but once I get into that market, then they're going to take it to the next level, and then the final level. So it's just going to take a little bit of time to be able to sell online, but I am working on it quite actively. Forgot it was Monday. I did too, until not very long ago. Good thing I have alarms on my phone. Chickens love the fermented feed, right? Like, at first they're kind of like, what the heck is this? And then like, you give them like regular dry feed and fermented feed, they will devour the fermented feed before they will even look at the regular stuff. Like, they know it's good for them. They know they love it. What about water kefir? How long can grains remain in a sugar molasses water in the fridge between fermentations? I have no idea. I don't like water kefir, so I don't work with it. I would say probably the same, maybe a little bit longer. I have kept it in there longer, but I've also killed it, so it's anyone's guess. I wouldn't tempt it too long, too far. I wouldn't go too far. I will be so excited. Me too. That would be awesome shipping. I agree. My second attempt at sauerkraut, 3 weeks in, and it's real sour, but I don't know if it's done. The hub's already said no way he will not be eating it. How do I know if it's done? When you like it, that's when it's done. If it's fermented enough for you, it's fermented enough. And if you like, fermentation is an acquired taste for many people. Once you start to kind of consume it, it'll populate your gut, and those bacteria in there that were created on the fermentation of vegetables will start to crave that fermentation, and the vegetables too. So it's a process. It's something, if you want to get over an aversion to the flavor of it, you absolutely can, just by consuming fermented foods. I've dehydrated and froze my water kefir grains, and they lasted for a few months. Yeah, freezing is dangerous territory when it comes to kefir. You have to do it in the right way. Like, you can't just throw the grains in the fridge or in the freezer. I don't know about water kefir grains, and I haven't tried it because I don't really, I haven't had luck with purchasing dehydrated grains, so I don't really like to dehydrate them unless it's like an emergency. But I think you have to suspend it in milk and then freeze that. Like, the cell walls will burst if you freeze them just by themselves. I keep my water kefir for 1 week in the fridge. Once I feed it and use a pickle pipe in the fridge for it. Is that because in the fridge they're inactive enough they don't require the oxygen? Because kefir grains typically require oxygen. I don't know. They probably are just asleep enough that they're fine. I don't know. Do you use a crock for sauerkraut to ferment it? Absolutely, I do. Water seal crock, they're the best. Hubby started in a kraut in February and forgot about it. Mold. It smelled horrible. That sucks. Mine went into the fridge after just about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I like, well, that's not true. I like very fermented stuff. Like, ridiculously fermented. So I don't ferment the stuff that I make for sale for as long as I ferment the stuff that I make for myself. And usually it is neglect. I just forget about it, but not always. Some, oftentimes I just like it really sour. It's just how I like it. I use water kefir grains and do a second fermentation for soda. Awesome. See, I don't mind it, but I always over ferment it because that's just my nature. I just like to over ferment stuff because I like things really sour. But over fermented water kefir is just dull, bland, and bitter. I can't stand it. If I actually remember to do it, it's good. And if I don't over ferment it, but the problem is that I like kombucha. For that reason, I can over ferment it and it just gets more and more delicious. Like, this stuff has been out as a second ferment for like 2 months. Like, the first ferment was like 2 months, and the second ferment is like, I think is going on more than 2 months. Whenever I put out my how to kombucha video, had to have been like 2 months ago. It's like, I just pop a couple in the fridge at a time, and it's delicious. I love it. But the water kefir, it's because I like it because it doesn't have. Oh, it gave me the option to skip ads again. Oh, they must have gotten complaints. I skipped that ad. So I like the kombucha because you can over ferment it and getting rid of a lot of the sugar that is in there. You can't do that with kefir and have it still taste good. Hello, Rosanna. How did you say to get over the taste? You just consume it. And then once your gut is populated with that bacteria, it literally starts to crave it for you. Like, it's like your gut controls almost all of the cravings that you have. So if you populate your gut with good bacteria, it will crave good food. I have a crock and also use half-gallon mason jars to ferment. I'm not sure why it works, but when you didn't use a pickle pipe and it became even less active in the fridge, I also had gotten, interesting, yeasty flavor to the water kefir. That is interesting. You got a yeasty flavor from the water kefir in the fridge, but yeast ferments at a higher temperature than bacteria. That doesn't work in my brain. I'm sure it happened, obviously, but That's so bizarre. It must have come from something else that was in the fridge, I would imagine. Rebel's Child Homestead, hello back. So I do love kombucha, but it takes 7 to 14. Yeah, you only ferment yours for 7 to 14 days. You're not even getting the acetic acid. Go for 30 days. Acetic acid forms at 30 days. But anyways, sorry. Try and get to the point where you can have it at 30 up to 30 days. I mean, if you like it at 14 days, consume it. It's better than not consuming it. But you'll get a lot more benefits if you go for 30 days. Either second ferment. Oh, no patience for it. Water kefir takes 2 days, maybe 3 with a second ferment. Yeah, that's my kryptonite. Because I can do daily, which the milk kefir. I can do monthly. I can probably even figure out weekly. Every 2 to 3 days, my brain just does not work like that, and I just forget about it constantly. Probably the sugar made the water kefir taste yeasty. I crave the El Ruderai yogurt now, and I thought so too. It's so weird. Yeah, I didn't make another batch of it, so I just made that one. And I need to make more. I need to make sure my son got my text to take care of the birds. Because it's going to be dark by the time I'm done. I have a kryptonite blackout zone 2 for monitoring stuff. Did I miss something? I have no idea what that's in reference to. Do you mean 30 days first ferment? Yes. Or first and second ferment, 30 days together. I go 30 days total, or 30 days first ferment, ideally like a week for the second ferment. But like I said, this stuff has been out. Which way to turn it? This is not what's in there. This is just homemade. This is homemade orange creamsicle kombucha. But yeah, I'd usually do. And don't get me wrong, it's very acidic. It's almost like drinking vinegar. I wish I had fridge space to put it all in there after like a week, but like it's still good. I usually drink it with a straw just to make sure it doesn't trash my teeth, but I don't have a straw in here and I didn't think about it ahead of time. My kryptonite isn't checking on things every couple of days, but it's close. I ruin everything if it's not daily or weekly. See? Not alone. Okay? It's very difficult to remember that. And I just don't. It's one thing if like I do something and then I have to remember to finish it in 2 to 3 days. But like if I have to do it every 2 to 3 days, forget about it. Ain't happening. No way, Jose. First ferment week. Ours is quite vinegary at a week. No, it's not. But like I said, the more that you drink it, the more you'll crave it being more acidic. So keep at it. Just, pull it when it tastes to your liking, and you'll keep craving more and more. So it amazed me how easily kombucha helped me break my soda pop addiction. I drank Sprite with lunch today and wanted my kombucha. Absolutely. It also helps if you have an alcohol addiction. A lot of people who have an alcohol addiction, and they're trying to get away from it, tend to shy away from kombucha because of the alcohol content. But it is a very minor alcohol content, and a lot of the other beneficial things that come with the kombucha actually help you get away from it. So I know many people have used it to help quit alcohol addictions. I don't know if mine was quite to the addiction level, but it was to that point where it was just this is a little bit too much. And I quit back in August. I haven't had a drop since, and kombucha has been a big help in making sure that I don't crave those evening cocktails because it's just delicious. You don't need anything else. It's nice, it's bubbly, it's acidic, it's got that flavor to it, it's good. My kombucha lives on a shelf beside my fridge. So I always see it and remember more often to check it. Yep. Putting it in a spot where you're going to see it, as long as it doesn't drive your spouse crazy, is a great thing to do. I don't have that convenience. It drives them nuts. So I just have to try and find ways to remember to do it. And it helps that I do it for a living. So I tend to check it more often. I don't drink pop. Once I drink kombucha and carbonated water, I crave the carbonation over the actual pop. I agree. Absolutely agree. Juanita from Pocatello, Idaho. I know Pocatello, Idaho. I know people from there. Most definitely. So, who here gets the cicadas? Who has the cicada infestation? I know we kind of talked about it right in the very beginning, but we've had a lot of people join since. But who has the cicada infestation? Those suckers are ugly and cute at the same time. It's a weird combination. It's a very weird combination. Like they're super fugly, but then you look at them and you're like, you're actually kind of cute. You're a little rainbowy, like metallic-y sort of. These giant wings. The first time I saw the shit, I thought it was a giant bee. I was talking about it in the video, and then I since realized that it's actually just like a shell shed or of some sort of a cicada. And because I looked at it and I was like, they don't have those cicadas have giant wings. That's not a cicada. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh yeah, it actually is. Mr. Lopez from California, hello. Western Kentucky is a roar, most definitely. Do you have carrot kraut recipe? I searched your videos, but I couldn't find one. What kind of carrot kraut? Like just carrots, like fermented, or like a carrot? I've made a carrot cake kraut before, but you'd have to be more specific. I don't do a whole lot of those sorts of things, but we have been getting moths. Ooh. Did you get your refractometer? Fascinating comparing the different kombuchas. I did get a refractometer, and then I realized it doesn't do absolutely anything of what I want it to do. All it does is measure the sugar content. It doesn't measure alcohol content at all. It just says how much of the sugar. Like if you take a reading before you make it and another one after you make it, it will tell you how much of the sugar has disappeared, which is helpful if you're making alcohol because all of that sugar has been converted via the yeast into alcohol. However, the process of kombucha takes the sugar, converts it to yeast, and then the bacteria or it takes the sugar, converts it into alcohol via the yeast, and then bacteria convert the alcohol into bacteria, or into acid. Oh my gosh, my brain is not firing on all cylinders today. So it doesn't actually tell you how much of that alcohol has been converted to alcohol or converted to acid. So it's pointless for my uses. Unless I want to measure how much sugar is in there. That's about it. Did you get your refresh? Oh, I read that one. The noise is so loud. It's not terrible right now, but it's amping up pretty much every day. So I would imagine we're gonna get there before too long. Virtually no cicadas here in Northwest Georgia, but I saw my first firefly of the season last night. I did too. They're coming. I love fireflies. I'm in Central Florida, and I've yet to see alone hear one yet. Really? Do you usually get them? Oh, wait, what carrot cake kraut do I have? A couple empty fermenting jars. It's one that I don't have the book here on me, but it's from one of my favorite books. I tried it for a while as a recipe, like selling it at market. I just made one batch, and it was very difficult for people to grasp that concept. I think it's in a book called Ferment Your Vegetables, which is very difficult to come by these days, and I don't have a picture of it to show you. I don't have it here. But it's pretty good. I liked it. It's got like carrot cakes type seasonings to it. It's really tasty, but it's hard to talk people into trying it when they're just like, that's so weird. But then once they do try it, like everybody who tried it bought it. But like, I don't want to sell things that I have to talk people into when I have other stuff that people are just like, give me it. Any plans to make more moonshine videos? No. Hubby and I both quit drinking, so he's not making moonshine. He hasn't made it for a very long time. So, I mean, maybe someday if he comes across something that is interesting enough to him and he wants to make it, but none of us are consuming it, so there's not a whole lot of point to making it. So, yeah. No cicadas here in Mississippi yet, but drove they'll east to Tennessee today, and while loud, I know they will come our way. They sure will. That's how I found your channel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just not a part of our life anymore. So I don't anticipate that happening anytime probably ever, but definitely not anytime soon. and the views on those videos were just they were tanked. So I think he kind of just decided he wasn't going to do them anyways, because it's really hard for like one like when one person is making the videos and then every once in a while there's another person on the videos. It like people just don't tend to connect as well unless it's like the core group of people who are around and familiar. But it just the videos, like, they were pretty consistently really bad view wise, because it wasn't, it wasn't the usual. So people just weren't as interested and they weren't clicking on it. So I think before we even quit drinking, he was kind of decided that he wasn't going to do it as much. So I got that book for Mother's Day, 10th anniversary edition. Oh, there's an updated version of it. Now I need to find it. Maybe that's why it's so hard to find. We've had them before, not mass droves, but yeah, very cool. I have an autistic son addicted to cheese, so I enforce a cheese tax, and every serving of cheese, he has to eat 4 ounces of ferment. He would be love to try a carrot cake kraut, I bet. Yeah, find the book, Ferment Your Vegetables. I wish I could find the author. Let me see if I can find the book. It's horribly expensive on Amazon because they're not really selling it on Amazon apart from used. But it's one of my favorite books. Like I've adapted several of the recipes in the book to my own liking, kind of changed things around, added, subtracted spices. But like I kind of started out with those recipes and made them my own for a lot of the stuff that I make for myself and the stuff that I sell. But it's the best recipe ferment book that I've come across. Yeah, see, oh my gosh, it's gone up even further. It's now $56. But this is what it looks like. Best recipe book out there. I'm just so bummed that it's so expensive now. But if you can find that, I've heard that you can find it on Barnes and Nobles, but I haven't checked to verify that myself. I think it might have just been an issue, like particularly with Amazon. Maybe I don't know what, maybe they were taking too big of a cut, or I don't know, but yeah, it sucks. Buffering. I'm sorry if it's me. I'm sorry. I didn't think we were having slow internet tonight, but I could be wrong. It's fermented vegetables, not ferment your vegetables. My bad. Fermented vegetables? I wonder if they have that book. I don't even know what it is. $56. Holy crap. And that's used. I'm telling you. Like, I don't say that any book is worth that money, but if any book was worth that money, it would be that book. It has the best recipes. They're phenomenal. I really enjoy those, but you can find it cheaper elsewhere. Like, you just got to look, I would not recommend spending $56 on a used copy of a recipe book, but it's really good. I can see why they're charging so much for it. Excellent book. Let's see, Fiery Ferments is also a good one. I have my bookshelf over there, so I'm looking at them. What else have I got over there? I can't think. I have a lot of books, and now's not the time. My book is Kristen and Christopher Shockey. Oh, I have that one. I'm pretty sure I have that one. I don't know where it is, but I thought, no, I feel like I do. Dang it, that's gonna bug me. Now I need to look it up. He said it's called Fermented Vegetables. Fermented Vegetables book. Shocky. Yeah, this one, right? That cover looks familiar. I might have that book. But yeah, I might have it. I'm not sure. Sandor Cats is my favorite. Sandor Cats is my favorite resource, but I don't know so much about his recipes. They're definitely good, but he's got like he's the one who got me into fermentation, and like he's really good on demystifying fermentation, making it available to the common folk. But you need recipes too. I mean, people need recipes, especially when they're first starting out. I know. Like right now, I just kind of go off the rails and make whatever I want and see if it tastes good. But in the beginning, like you need recipes. Otherwise, you're not really going to jump in because you're very hesitant. You're perhaps fearful. And I understand that. And, people want ratios or they want like specific recipes. And so oftentimes I try and provide that to people. So they take that first step and they make that thing. But then, like, then they can feel free to go off on their own and do their own thing. And that's the cool thing about fermentation is you can almost never go wrong. Like there are very few things that you can do to like ruin a ferment other than just not paying attention to it and allowing the mold to take over. But, so people need the recipes in the beginning. And, I just try and tell people this is the recipe. Feel free to tweak it. The only thing you really have to be certain on is the sugar or is the salt content. Like that's about all you have to be kind of close on. And even that is a bit of a range. Like it doesn't have to be exact, it's like, does it taste like a potato chip? Then you're good, but there's a specific number. I like to show people and tell people this is the technical, this is the percentage that you want to use. But if you don't have a scale, does it taste like potato chip? You're golden. Yes, exactly. That's true. Not any recipes. Yep. Or by trying to make pickles. Yep. That's me how I know. I've ruined a lot of batches of pickles over the years. So I understand. Even as a seasoned fermenter, you still get stuff. Like I've been fermenting for 10 years and I still get stuff that molds. Like it's just part of life. It just happens. Thank God I have chickens and it doesn't go to waste. They love it. Or, if it's not bad enough, I just scrape off the mold. But after I've discovered that I'm allergic to mold, I'm probably not going to do that anymore. But, if you're not allergic to mold, then you're probably fine. That's why I enjoy your channel so much. You get me. Exactly. eBay has the book for much cheaper. Just grabbed a copy. There you go. I don't know if I've ever bought anything on eBay. No, I did. I bought some kind of refrigerant on there when I couldn't find it anywhere else. Didn't end up using it, but I bought it because I thought I needed it. And I just was too chicken to even try it. So, and I think I bought something, and I think I tried selling something on eBay when my son was a baby. So I think it was before he was even born. I had like bindings for snowboard, and I didn't have any clue that there's any. I didn't know how to tell anything about them. I was just like, oh, I got bindings. Let me sell them on eBay. And then it turned out that they were 2 right foot bindings, and the person was pissed. And I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm sorry. I never sold anything after that because I felt so bad. Yeah. So eBay, I do wonder if they have it on, what's that thing called? Barnes and Noble. I don't know. But at any rate, Thursday's the big day for me. I'm getting excited about it. Hopefully things go well. It's basically a meeting like at the health department with like the district manager person who's the gal who needs to approve everything, kind of go over it. And I sent her the plans that I have. There's a lot that goes into it, the HACCP plans. And so I sent those over to her and she has looked them over, and we're going to meet on Thursday. And she said she's going to give me her notes that she has taken them, because obviously it's a first draft and there's things that I need to be corrected, especially because I just pulled it out of nowhere. I just wrote down the steps of everything that I need to do in order to make. I started out with sauerkraut, and I just wrote down all the steps in as much detail as I possibly could. And then I elaborated on each of those steps as far as like if there's like a danger with that step, like what could happen and what you should do to prevent it, and just kind of expanded from there. So I just made it all up. Because like there's no actual like guide really online that's for that particular thing. I was assured there was, but in fact there is not. So at any rate, so I'm thankful for the feedback and the tips that she's going to be giving me. And yeah. Drew, how much? Oh, 2050. That's not bad at all. It's not bad. I really want to try the carrots. You said you have a video making it. I haven't seen it. No, I don't have a video. I've just made it. It's in that book. That's a lot of hard work. You have no idea. I've been at this for a year. an entire year of trying to get this stuff done and gone through. But granted, I just submitted my first tacit plan in October, but it was because like I spent the time from like May until October trying to figure out what the heck I need to do, and like meeting with the health department, and then like getting bounced around from health department to health department, and then finally got kicked to the state, and it's been a process. So anybody have the bright idea to go into the fermentation business, it's a long haul game. It is not something that you can do very readily. And oddly enough, it's one of the safest ways that you can consume anything you're consuming. But still, it is very severely regulated because it is very misunderstood product. And people think it's dangerous, and it is not. It's literally, go to the CDC website and you will find out how completely safe fermented foods are. In fact, they're quite the opposite. They can kill a lot of the most, if not all, of the pathogens that are found in most foods. Fermented foods kills it. So I don't get it. So I'm kind of chilling here. I should probably sit up. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of work. There's a lot to it. So it's definitely something that you have to be passionate about, or you'll get really discouraged. It's not something you go into by any means to make money quickly at all and give us so much goodness. Heck yes. Good food that makes you crave good food. That's what I love about it. So that's what I was doing. Like, I started consuming, like, I stopped consuming a lot of fermented foods for a long time. And then back in like January or something, December, January, I just started to consume like a lot of fermented foods, like the quart of milk kefir. And then I would have like a few kombuchas every day. And then like a cup or more of like various types of fermented vegetables, and just like really including a lot of the fermented foods in there. And then like within a month, like I just stopped craving all the junk that I was consuming. And I'm just feeling a lot better. I'm feeling really good lately, like mentally, physically, in my gut, just all sorts of my anxieties. Like, really, it's not amazing, but it's about as close as amazing as a like anxious ridden human being like myself can experience, probably. So highly recommend it. Just start including fermented foods, and then eventually you will start to crave good things and do good things and have good habits. And I can't espouse the benefits of fermented foods any higher than I do. It's truly life-changing. Another ad. I don't know if I just drank a fly or a mother. We're gonna pretend it was a mother. We lived in Germany. Generations have passed down fermentation. They had big pots of green beans in basement storage. Apple cider were a staple as well. I really want to get into making vinegars. I've never had much luck with it. I think it's because like I don't think it's done, and so I let it go too long, and then it ends up molding at some point. Call it amazing. I do too. Question: we have a ginger bug we've neglected by only feeding it every couple of days. It's on the countertop, not the fridge. Seeing some fine bubbles again, but it smelled a bit like apple cider vinegar. Okay to brew. Yeah, absolutely. It just means that it's gone. It just means it's gone a bit. Like, it's not bad by any means. It's just over fermented. But once you dilute it into the things that you're turning the ginger bug into, you won't notice it. So as long as it doesn't smell like mold, you're good. Good in the hood. Just if you want to not keep it on your counter, if you don't want to have to feed it every day, feed it and pop it in the fridge, and it'll last in there for a week or two. But yeah, my sister Tiffany over at Homesteading Homestead, she's listening while she's killing a chicken right now. She's not commenting. She usually is, but Homesteading Homestead, she does a lot more ginger bug type stuff. Her man really enjoys her ginger bug sodas, so she makes those a lot more than I do. I really like kombucha, so I don't tend to mess a whole lot with the ginger bugs. But yeah, if you have more specific questions, she might be a more helpful resource. She's on Instagram, I think would be a good way to message her, probably. I have my kombucha hotel in a corner of my kitchen counter along with my brewing kombucha. I have a pretty tea towel hanging in front of the area to keep it out of the sun. Perfect. I appreciate hearing you talk about ferments because I never knew I had a phobia of tainted food until I started serving my own food and needed to get talked off the ledge. Yeah, I was the same, like for real. When I first started fermenting, I made probably 6 or 7 different recipes and threw them away because I was so scared to try it. I thought I was going to poison myself or my family. They're still not on board with fermentation, even after all this time, but I still try. Hubby will have some things now. Like he really likes fermented peppers, hot sauce, anything, any of the spicy recipes he's kind of game for. Like he'll usually get it. Like he likes curtido. He likes some of my kombuchas, not all the flavors, but he likes like the blueberry pomegranate, the ones that are just fermented for a little bit less time. I think he likes the ones that I make for sale because the ones that I make, they're very vinegary. But that's how I like it. So, but yeah, definitely. It's fear is real in the beginning because like you get like almost indoctrinated into the dangers of fermented food and what could go wrong. And it's like, no, there's not much that can go wrong. And anything that can go wrong, you can see it, you can smell it. Like you could not force yourself to consume a bad ferment because like your senses will not allow it. Like it is obvious. If you've ever smelled a rotted vegetable, that's what a bad ferment smells like. It's rancid. You're not going to want it. So, anyways, it's like canning and like, some of the other types of stuff. Like that's where it's like, if you do it correctly, you don't have anything to fear. But if you do it wrong, you got a lot to fear, whereas with ferments, it's like you can do some things wrong, but it's very obvious if you've done it wrong. So it's like the fear is very misplaced. Potato flake sourdough sometimes smells almost like rubbing alcohol when I wait too long to feed and use it. You mean it smells like vodka? Seems like I should maybe I should convert it to a regular flour feed. Thoughts? I've never tried potato flake sourdough, so I don't have any thoughts. But I mean, if you're fermenting potatoes, it's going to smell like vodka. But I don't do bread, so I dabble in it every once in a while. I get myself under the misconception that I can control myself, and I can just make it and have a little bit, and then before you know it, an entire loaf of bread's gone. So I just don't make it. So I don't have to worry about it. I want to make your kimchi. It's some good kimchi. Not giving the recipe though. Sorry. Speaking of spice. Oh, is that in regards to the kimchi? There's a fermented carrot cake recipe on Facebook. I'm sure there is. Hello, Janice. How are you doing? One of our scobies had a fine dark colored coating like black, but not dense black. Scared living daylights out of me. I rinsed off, put it in a SCOBY hotel. Really don't want to rinse off scobies. I don't recommend it. But if there's no ramifications from it, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, like if the next SCOBY doesn't start to form anything funky, I'm sure you're fine. You're not late. You're just here in time for the end. Probably dust from your tea bags. Yeah, that was the first thought that came into my mind. Help Africa. That's not very relevant to the chat, so I'm confused on that. I thought maybe it was yeast. Yeast isn't really usually black unless it's sporulated. So if you didn't notice it for a really long time, like fungus can sporulate and turn black, but like at that point, it would be pretty furry. Here for the end, exactly, and then you can just skip back and listen to it all. Thank you, Tiffany. I was trying to make gluten-free bread. Everyone loves it, but it can be difficult to keep going without the strong, weird smell. I've never smelled a tart smell from vodka, but maybe. Well, I thought you said it smelled like alcohol. That's why I made that comment. So I'm not sure. I mean, if you enjoy the taste of it, make it. I mean, maybe just ferment it for less time, because it sounds like maybe it's just developing some hooch on it. I didn't think of tea bags. We use rolled leaves, not furry, etc. It doesn't look like mold. Yeah, it's probably just like the dust from it probably just got to the top before maybe it floated before the SCOBY formed. I get it oftentimes underneath it, because if I don't strain it out enough, because I switched over to loose leaf tea and sometimes I don't strain it out as good. But there's no harm to it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Hooch smells like vodka. There you go. Yawning. I have a very long 3 days ahead of me. That's why I decided to chill this today more than I had intended, because I was like, let's take a little bit of a chill day before the madness of the next 3 days comes back. I'll use it and see how it works. Awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I'm trying to think of garden stuff. How many people have planted tomatoes this year? Raise your hands. I'm not raising my hands for a reason. What was what you're looking for? Definitely. Having said that, you're quite hooked on Jun. Oh, we're quite hooked on Jun. I like Jun too, as long as it's not over fermented. I found that I think, because I had 16 gallons of it mold, and I've come to the conclusion after a tremendous amount of research, there was probably a combination of factors. First, might have been a little bit too cold in the room, but I don't think that is realistic, because the Jun likes a colder temperature than the kombucha. But I would say it probably wasn't maintaining 70 degrees in there. It was probably more like 65 to 68. So that could have been the culprit. But doing further research, I think the problem was habitual over fermentation of it, because Jun ferments quicker. So if you ferment it and it ferments and it goes through all the sugar that it has in the jar, and then it runs out, like, they're going to start to die off. They're not going to have all of their defenses there. So I think that's probably, after a lot of time, thought, research, I think that was the reason I lost all my Jun, was habitually over fermenting it. So now I have decided that the Jun is a 2-week ferment instead of 4 weeks like the kombucha. So bear that in mind if you're looking into fermenting stuff. Try that one in particular. I think that is the culprit, because like even checking the pH, because I have a pH monitor and I monitor all the pHs of everything very carefully when I'm selling it. And the pH of the Jun drops significantly quicker than kombucha. Even starting out at the exact same pH, the pH will drop in the Jun much faster. I planted onions again today for fall, and then tripped over the wire that protects the strawberries and bruised. Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry. Why are the next days crazy? It's just my days to work, and like I'll be in the kitchen, and then I've got the market, and then I've also got the health meeting with the health department. Thursday's gonna be a very long day for me. Like, I have to be in the big city at my appointment at 9 a.m. My voice, because I have a market later on in the day. I want to make sure I have plenty of time for the meeting. And anything, like if I had to take care of anything after the meeting, I want to make sure I have plenty of time. So, and then I've got like an evening market. So it's my working days, my working away from home days. Tomatoes are a necessity for fermented salsa. Yes, they are. And fermented salsa is also a necessity. Anybody who hasn't had fermented salsa, y'all try it. It is a whole new world. It is a totally new experience. It is unlike anything that you can make fresh, canned, store-bought. You can buy the best salsa money can buy, and your homemade fermented salsa will be better. You want to know why? Because of the L-glutamine that is produced in the fermentation process. It's basically like free umami. Like, it just brings out so much flavor, and it's got like that bubbliness to it. Don't over ferment it. Like, we're talking like 2-3 days, but like, oh my gosh, it is the best. Fermented salsa is the best thing that you can do with tomatoes, in my opinion. We South Loop River planted tomatoes, chunky baby designs. I like your name. planted them. Tomato plants and basil planted in Connecticut. Awesome. I need to plant basil. I don't like basil. It smells like stinky armpit, but I want to like it. And I try every year to like it, but it just hasn't worked yet. Texas farmer, Janine. I live in an apartment. So I have a balcony garden. I have 3 types of tomatoes, 3 types of peppers, green beans, cucumbers, and lots of herbs. You have all that on a balcony? That sounds like my husband before we met. He had a balcony packed with all kinds of stuff. I don't even know how he managed to grow that much on a balcony. I'm amazed by balcony gardeners. Hubby started tomatoes and peppers inside way early, took care, brought inside when too cold, etc. He has baby tomatoes and peppers on his plants already. Awesome. That might have been devastating losing that much. John, it also carbonates much faster than kombucha. Facts. And yes, it was devastating and very expensive too, because I had to purchase all of the John cultures. It set me back like $250. Get Clyde's garden planner. It's amazingly helpful to keep you from jumping the gun. Only if you actually abide by it. Like, it's a tool that you can use to accurately measure it, but it's not going to stop you from making the jump and planting stuff. I have like 4 Clyde's garden planners. I started my tomatoes and peppers later, but still before the last frost. I had a surprise freeze that chilled my plants in our root bowels and knocked them out terribly. Oh, that's awful. Fermented salsa is amazing and nearly foolproof, which is why I can make it. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite things. I had 13 tomatoes and 1 sugar rush peach pepper that either revived or sprouted new. So they are small, but transplanted in the garden a couple weeks ago. Now I have more of the same sprouting. Love it. I left the outside garden to the hubs and started an indoor. I have 3 tomato plants going crazy. Love them. Awesome. Well, if you want to play chicken with a train, exactly. I do that all the time in the garden. I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Although I didn't start them early. Now that I think about it, I didn't start early. I just started several rounds and then I stopped starting and I got overwhelmed. So that's mine. I start too many. I don't start them too early anymore. I used to. Balcony gardening with hanging baskets of cherry tomatoes and strawberries and climbing cucumbers gives lots more room. True. Also herbs in the basket. We never get enough fermented salsa to get past November each year. We always cry when we run out. Make more. Considering mushroom coffee kombucha. Thoughts? I'd be interested in it. I've never tried mushroom coffee because I'm obsessed with the real stuff, but I'd be curious about it. If it has caffeine, it might work. I wouldn't use your only starter culture that you have on it, but if you have some spare scobies, absolutely give it a try. See what happens. I mean, I make coffee kombucha. Love my grow tents. Oh yeah, I want to try Tiffany's sriracha. I will look at your fermented salsa if you have one. Yeah, I have a sriracha one too. But yeah, I think Tiffany did sriracha. I think she just did a fermented like hot sauce with Hawaiian peppers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. With spring, we never really know. Plus, my indoor gardening space was being occupied by new pullets and their mortar and rooter. Yep. I had to go for the dining room. Do you sell Jun or Jun starters at market? And do you say what markets you do? I do sell, I just sell at one market right now, and I'm looking at some like festivals and fairs until I get into the big market. But yeah, I sell Jun. I don't have a whole massive stock on hand because it sells a lot. And I lost 16 gallons, so I'm still waiting to recover from that one. But I should have some at the next market. If you're interested in where I'm selling, you can always send me an email. But it's just local here, Southern Missouri. But yeah, oh, it's already after 8:30. That was the fastest hour I think I've ever experienced in my life. So we're gonna get going. I'm hoping to have a video out Wednesday, but don't hold me to it. Depends on how busy I get and if I have time to do some editing after I'm in the kitchen all day tomorrow. So it might be a Saturday video, but I have a video. It's filmed, it's garden related, and it's ready to go as soon as I have the time to edit it. Waiting for the video. Absolutely. Do you flavor your Jun in a second ferment with fruit, etc., or stay plain? I flavor it with juice because I find that people do not tend to enjoy the little loogies of fruit that are left inside of the jar. So I flavor it with juice, and it's so easy and convenient. I just switched over and started doing that for my own kombucha as well. I like juice. So I hope you guys have an amazing evening and your gardens are beautiful and successful. And may you see a firefly tonight. That would be cool. Oh, peace out, sauerkraut. Almost forgot.